Do you want to learn how to create this? Or maybe that? Or maybe you like this? Welcome to my first ever tutorial for Planet Zoo. Today I will try to teach you a bit about plants. Hello guys, this is Cesar Creates and welcome back to my channel. Tutorials were very requested by you guys and I finally decided to record one. You especially wanted to see the realistic foliage tutorial, so today we'll focus on that. To be completely honest, I'm not sure if my foliage use is really realistic, but a lot of you seem to enjoy it. So today I will try to show you in detail how I create landscapes in my habitats using plants. I recorded this tutorial in the PC version of Planet Zoo, but I am sure that it will be equally useful for all the new console players. We will also talk about which plants you should use and which to avoid, which plants look good together, and how to create foliage suitable for some of the most popular biomes in the game. This is my first proper tutorial on YouTube, so if there is something that could be improved or something that is still not clear, please let me know down in the comments. Okay, without any further ado, let's begin. Firstly, we'll go through some basics and tips, and later on I will show you in detail how I create those nature scenes in my enclosures. Planet Zoo provides us with a lot of different plants. There are over 200 species of plants and each of them has different variants. That's a big number that can be a bit overwhelming, right? To make it easier for ourselves, we'll firstly filter all of the plants. Let's be honest here, some of the plant models, especially the older ones, are not as good as the plants that were introduced recently. This little guy in here, the heart, that allows you to pick your favorites, is your best friend here. By adding the heart to all of the plants, we are able to quickly filter all of the plants and make it so much easier for us with just one click. We can even go one step further in here and create a special tags for plant palettes for your zoos and enclosures. Let's say that we want to create one for the Elm Hill City Zoo right now. All you need to do is click on filters, go to my filters and click on create new tag. Then write your custom tag, whatever you want. It can be a name of the zoo or, for example, a name of the enclosure. Here you have the Elm Hill City Zoo tag. Click on it and when you click it, it will be automatically added to the plant that you wanted. As you guys can see, if I will add right now the Elm Hill City Zoo tag, the game will show me only this plant that I want. Now, I am going to share with you my big secret. Here is a list of all my hearted plants that I used in most of my builds. If you would like to recreate my plant work, I would recommend to pause the video right now or take a screenshot of this list and add the hearts to the plants in your game. Secondly, the useful settings. While adding a lot of plants, you should make sure that the random rotation setting is turned on. There are no two exact the same plants in the real life, and this helps to trick the eye that all of those are a bit different. Even though we are constantly placing the same plant over and over again, they seem to be a bit different from one another. You can also, of course, rotate the plants individually between each placement, but the random rotation makes things so much easier. I sometimes see people use the align to surface setting while placing their plants. I personally would recommend to disable it. The reason for that is that almost all of the plants always grow upwards, because they are trying to quickly get to the light to begin the process of photosynthesis. They actually use the gravity to tell which way is up. They will grow upwards even in complete darkness. It applies to grasses, bushes and trees. Align to surface also makes things a bit more difficult when you want to place multiple plants next to each other and only make some parts of them stick out of the ground because you need to lower the plants manually every time. Let's continue talking about plant growth in real life, because this little detail that I am about to show you makes a huge difference in your builds. As we all know, most plants grow out of the seeds, which usually fall somewhere next to the adult plant, and that's how they are spreading. We can use that to add realism to our builds by differing the height of the plants in those plant clumps. By placing higher plants in the middle and lower on the borders, you can easily achieve this look and make your foliage look so much better. It doesn't apply to all of the types of the plants, but for example for grasses and bushes, this technique is just perfect. Talking about grasses, the buffalo grass is my favorite plant in the game and is the one that you should really be using a lot. It works for a variety of different biomes and enclosure types and is a perfect base for adding more foliage on top of it. It also looks so good when you use it for filling up the gaps in rock crevices and wherever there is an empty space in your habitat that you don't know what to do with. Just simply throw in some of the buffalo grass in there and sink it a bit into the ground and it will always look phenomenal. The buffalo grass comes in 3 different colors: green, perched and dry. The perched version to me works best for more dry and arid environments, while the dry one ironically works best for more moist climates, swamps and around the water sections. A lot of you ask me how I deal with animals that don't like to have a lot of plants in their habitats. Do I just ignore that they are not happy with tons of plants that I'm adding into their habitat? No, there is a setting for that. All of my current Planet Zoo series are built in sandbox mode. If you'll go to the sandbox settings, you can find there the animal settings. Simply click on that little arrow and scroll down till you'll find the enable animal plant needs setting. Simply disable it, and now suddenly the plants are not a problem anymore. However, if you play in franchise, you cannot just disable that. I believe that plant needs don't contribute much to the overall welfare of the animal, so I would just ignore that. The animals will still be almost perfectly happy, breed and thrive, but their habitats will look so much better. Next thing that I wanted to mention here are the pacing trails. This is something that I observed during my zoo visits. They can make your habitat look so much more realistic. While exploring their enclosures, animals normally take similar routes, and that leads to stomping many times on grasses and other plants growing there, and unfortunately leads to destroying those plants and exposing the bare ground. This is why, while building a habitat for animals like big cats, canids, etc., I always try to predict the paths that would be the most convenient for animals to move around their habitats and leave those paths bare without any plants. Those are typically places near the entrance to their shelter, feeders or enrichment items. Many animals, especially ungulates, may try to destroy the bark of the trees that are growing in their habitats, whether it is to graze on them and eat the bark, or just wrap their bodies on it. It can influence the general appearance of the tree but also its health. To prevent that, zoos often install those tree guards made of metal or wood. And it is really easy to try to recreate them in the game just using some metal and wooden pieces. It solely depends on my personal preference, but I must say that I am not a huge fan of using too many blooming plants in my zoos. Of course, if you want to make your zoo look like it's spring all the time, go for it. I just don't like the fact that those plants bloom all of the time despite the time of the day or a season. I'm normally adding them here and there just a little bit to add this additional pop of color, but I wouldn't recommend going too overboard with them because it can make your enclosures look a bit artificial. However, it is a totally different story with arranged gardens or adding some blooming plants around sculptures and fountains. This is my last tip before we'll move over to planting some plants together in my little tutorial. Almost all plants in Planet Zoo look just perfect. They are green, healthy, with a nice shape. Unfortunately, in real life, especially in animal enclosures, the plants will almost never look like that. Herbivores and bigger animals give those plants a really hard time by either eating and biting them or just stomping on them. This is why I like to mix in some of those dry bushes and tree trunks that I place upside down, and it makes wonders for the more realistic look of the foliage. It also applies to trees. You can make them look so much more realistic by adding some dry bushes inside of the branches of the tree. Let's move over to the part of the video where I will try to slowly create a foliage patch that I would normally build in one of my enclosures. We'll actually do it twice. Once for more temperate climate and once for slightly more dry like desert and grasslands. Okay, so let's plant some plants together. Right now, I will show you how I normally do it for all of my habitats in Planet Zoo. Without any speed build, it will be a real-time build, so you guys can follow it, so it's easier for you to understand everything. Still, if you have any questions, if something will be like not understandable, please leave them down in the comments. I will try to reply to everything. Okay, so the first thing that I would normally do is change the terrain, because I feel like the plants in Planet Zoo pop better against the terrain such as dirt or sand on or rocks. So let's add the patch of the dirt. Normally I wouldn't add plants on the long or short grass, as you probably seen in all of my videos. Okay, I already prepared some rocks. This is the next step. I always like to add some small rocks in between my builds, my plants, my plant work. Those are the piles that you can download from the workshop. They are part of my habitat essentials. So let's add them in here. Let's rotate them. Let's do like a proper patch, so it looks kind of nice. We can mix some colors for some variation. Just do it quickly, like I would normally do. Okay, and now let's do all the things that I showed you in the previous part of the video. So let's go to our plants. Let's filter our plants with the heart. Those are all of my favorite plants. And let's start with the buffalo grass. As I told you, this is the best plant when it comes to the base. Let's turn off the align to surface. It is turned off, and let's turn on the random rotation, so it's all looks natural and nice. I would normally sink the buffalo grass a bit into the ground, and as I told you, I will keep the higher plants in the middle, and we'll go a bit lower and lower towards the border. So this is just what we'll do. The buffalo grass in here is our base, so we'll add quite a lot of it, but we'll add a lot of different plants on top of it. Okay, so it looks a bit like this. I kind of like it. Right now, I will add some perched grass. As I told you, not all the plants are perfect. Sometimes they are dry, sometimes parts of it die. So this is why I add, some dry grasses and so on in between. I don't want to go too overboard with this, because in a second I will also show you how I do those things for more like dry biomes, and we'll definitely add more of those in there. Okay, the next plant that I like to add is the saltwort. So maybe this one is a bit too big, but I'll normally sink it in. It has a really nice color, really nice textures, and we'll focus this somewhere in the middle of this plant patch. We will do it right now, remembering that we have the random rotation on. It is very important, otherwise it can look a bit fake. Okay, the plant that I also love to use at the beginning stage of planting is the Yorkshire foggrass. It blends really well together with the buffalo grass. It creates this real nice look. Like some of the buffalo grasses are blooming. It also adds this pop of this a bit more like brighter green. Okay, so it looks a bit like this. Right now, one of my favorite plants in the game, besides the buffalo grass, is the blue stem grass, because of this again pop of color, but it is not so intense. It is not such a pink blooming plant or anything. It is just a bit of a grass that has a really interesting texture, a really interesting color. So this is something that I use a lot. We'll have like higher grasses in the middle, and we'll have some lower in the borders, like in here on the parameters. This is just how the plants grow, and this is how what we want to recreate in here. Okay, so this looks a bit like this. Again, we are doing a more temperate plant patch simply right now. This tree is amazing. It has amazing textures. It has amazing color. So I also like to add a pop of it. As you guys can see, I'm adding a lot of plants inside of each other. Sometimes they get lost in this pile, but even if some little bits stick out, it always looks amazing. Next up, the cabbage tree. Right now, I just cannot imagine my builds without it, because it looks like a really nice temperate plant if you do it like this, like a grass or anything. So I just add some of them in there. Okay, maybe we'll add some more. And next, what we also can do, this plant is amazing. If you stick it into the ground and leave only those like several leaves in there, it looks really nice. So okay, this creates this look. What we'll also do is add for sure the creosote dry bush, add some like branches and sticks sticking out in some parts. As I told you guys, not all the plants are perfect. Sometimes they are dry, sometimes there are things like this happening because of too much sun, because of too much water. Some of the plants have very specific needs. And sometimes they just die, and this is a natural part of life. I will also add this thing in several places, and I will of course add the hosta plants, which is one of my favorite plants right now, and I will add it normally on the parameters of such a plant clump. Yeah, do something like this. Of course, again, the random rotation is on. I am being careful now so that the rocks are not sticking through the leaves, so it looks all natural and nice. The marula trees, of course, it is a base game plant, but it has such amazing textures. When you stick it into the ground, it looks amazing. Okay, what else? We can also add this one. This one is also really nice, and it adds again a bit of a different texture, different color. So yeah, let's add this here. I'm sticking a lot of those into the ground so that only several little sticks are sticking out, and it always looks amazing. Okay, let's add this one as well. Another base game tree that I really love to add for another texture, like color variation, like a maybe different species of grass. It sort of looks like a grass or a lower plant when you stick it to the ground. And of course, one of my favorites, the ponytail palm tree, that looks like a taller grass, like a grass species or anything. What else can we add? I think that we will add some buttercups, if I were able to find them, because I like them so much. Okay, here they are. So we'll add just some of them for, again, a pop of color, but not too much. Those are very popular temperate plants, so let's add them in some places. And this is almost all. I also want to add some of the litter, like not too much in several places, and also for sure this one looks always amazing. Like, just look at that. Okay, and I think that our temperate foliage patch is done. So it sort of looks like this. And now we'll do something that I normally do for more dry climates, for example, savanna or desert. This is something that I would do for the Desert Adventure Park. So let's go to terrain once more and add a bit of sand for this like a bit more arid look. We can also add in back a bit of soil so it's not that light. Okay, I like this. Let's again grab some rocks and add them here. Maybe not as much, just a bit of them. We can mix two colors of them. Again, they are in the workshop because I always get some questions about them. Okay, so here we have our rocks. You know what? Actually, from this perspective, this looks a bit better, I think. Okay, so let's again go to our favorites and start adding plants. Again, I will start by adding the buffalo grass first, but this time I won't add that much of green in here. I will add more purge version, so this one, because we are going for this savanna look, the foliage that is a bit, you know, has hard time because it is growing on in a scorching sun, so this is something that we want to go for. Next up, I will also grab the saltwort, but the dry version, so to add some of this yellow color. It also looks amazing. Just don't go too overboard with this because it is not traversable for the animals. Sometimes I forget about this. Okay, what else can we add in here? For sure, the blue stem grass, but the purged version as well. We'll add it a bit in the middle. It looks so nice. Okay, some maybe lower ones somewhere in here. Again, I have the random rotation on as always. Okay, next up, I think it is time to add the dome palm. If I'll find it, yes, it's here. I always love to add it in those more arid climates. It sort of looks like a grass. It sort of looks like a baby palm trees growing out, but again, it looks so amazing. Okay, we also add the marble tree again, but just a bit of it in the middle. And again, this plant. This plant is amazing for more dry foliage. Next up, we'll also add the drin grass, the dry version. I think it looks amazing in those more savanna enclosures. Always, I love to add them. A bit more of the dry sticks. Maybe let's add some of the periwinkles, but this like a grayish version. It always looks nice, like on the parameters, but only some of it. I don't know, it gives me a bit of desert vibes. Okay, there are still two plants that I always add. This is the old grass, but actually in the normal version, not dry nor purged. This one is still amazing. It looks really nice. It has a very nice dry feel to it, so we will add some of them, maybe a bit higher and stuff. And a plant that helps always to sell this like a bit more grassland and savanna vibe, which is the triodia grass. And to achieve this look, we'll sink it down into the ground and we'll add quite a lot of them just next to each other, and look. Right away, it sort of looks like this tall, dry grass on the savanna. I don't know if you'll add just one or two of them, they sort of look like a blooming temperate grass, but if you add several of them next to each other, it right away gives this savanna feeling, and this is what I love about this plant. And yeah, I think that we are pretty done in here. So this is how I would normally create a drier plant patch for example, the Desert Adventure Park. And those were my two very different examples of how you can use foliage in Planet Zoo. One more temperate, one more dry. I hope you guys were able to learn something from this little tutorial. I hope you guys were able to learn something from this whole video. As I told you, this was my first ever tutorial and I really hope you guys enjoyed it. And that the whole topic of plants in Planet Zoo will be a bit easier to you now. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And of course, if you like to see more videos like that from me, let me know down in the comments if you liked the tutorial, if there's something I can improve, and maybe you would like to see more tutorials. Let me know down in the comments what you would like to see and what you would like to learn from me. Also, give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it and ring the bell if you want to be notified every time I upload a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful day and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!